Alright guys, so for this trick, let's pretend that we have three different spectators. So spectator number 1 would be here to my right. You, the viewer, will be spectator number 2 in this case, and then spectator number 3 would be here to my left, okay? So that would be the arrangement for this video's sake. But if this was a real life setting, I would have the spectators shuffle this deck as much as they wish. And this could also be a genuinely borrowed and shuffled deck of cards, okay? So that's the case, and here we go. We're gonna begin the trick by having each spectator select their own card. The only rule is that only they will be able to see it, so don't show anyone else, don't show me. So spectator number 1 will pick a card. Let's say they pick this one here, and they'll remember it. They'll go ahead and place it down. Spectator number 2 will do the same thing, so they'll go ahead and touch a card, let's say this one over here. So they'll go ahead and remember this card the best they can. And then spectator number 3 will do the same as well, and they'll go ahead and touch a card, let's say this one, and that will be the one they remember. So once each card has been chosen and remembered, we're gonna go ahead and spread the deck here and just lose every single card somewhere in the pack, just like so. Okay? The spectators can push them in, and now I can also hand the deck over to the spectator and they can shuffle the deck as well. It genuinely does not matter whatsoever. As long as every single spectator remembers their card, that's all that matters for this trick, okay? So now, of course, me being the magician, I have to try to find all of your cards, but I'm gonna try and do them in 3 different unique and interesting ways, okay? So spectator number 1, I'm gonna begin by dealing through the cards here, just like this, okay? I'm gonna try to get a feel for what your card is and also where it is. I think it might be, actually it might be right here. I think that might be your card. Yes. I'm pretty confident on this one. Okay, so I think that's your card. And I think, okay, the second spectator, let's see, I think what I'm gonna try and do is try to cut to it, I think. So, okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, and it should be right here, actually. I think that's your card. Spectator number 2, okay. So I think that's your card, and I think spectator number 3 might be the most challenging, but I hope I can do it. So 1, 2, 3 should get it right there, I think, hopefully. So I've done this correctly. We should have all 3, yeah, okay. I think I'm gonna lock in with these 3. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm gonna have every single person now just tell me the name of their card. So spectator number 1, they'll tell me it was the Jack of Hearts. Spectator number 2 will also tell me Jack of Hearts. Wait, okay, wait. And spectator number 3, what did you pick? Jack of Hearts also? Wait, you all picked the Jack of Hearts. That doesn't make any sense. I thought we had all 3. There's no 3 Jack of Hearts in this deck, so clearly we have a problem here. But I think I know how to fix it, so if I just wave my hand over the cards, watch. Hopefully, they all merge into one single card. And I hope that I've still been able to find all 3 of your cards, the Jack of Hearts, even though they were the same card. But yeah, that is the trick. I really hope you guys enjoyed this fun little trick, and if you did, be sure to stick around for the tutorial. Alright guys, so here's the tutorial for the trick that you just saw. So if you guys recognize this trick, you may or may not have seen this in one of my Street Magic videos that I posted a few months back, and if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link up here so you guys can check it out. I did a version of this trick where I had 3 spectators pick essentially the same card, and then I tell them that that's impossible because the card that they picked is actually in my pocket the entire time. And then I sort of palm the card and I pull the card out of my pocket. That's one version of this trick, but this is a different version that I also like to perform as well. And it gets great reactions. It's such a fun trick to do. You are forcing the same card 3 different times, and then you're going to basically pull out 3 cards and then make them turn into 1 card. And that is a really, really visual and cool way to end this trick. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to do it. So again, this can be a completely borrowed shuffle deck of cards. You tell the spectators that every single one of them is going to select their own card, but it is very important that they do not show each other, they only keep it to themselves. And the reason for that is because you're gonna be forcing the same cards on every single person, so that would be a little awkward if they were to see the cards, because then that would sort of reveal the end of the trick, and also it just wouldn't really make any sense. So just tell them to keep it to themselves. The first spectator, they can genuinely select any card, and basically whichever card that this spectator selects, this is going to be the card that you sort of keep control of, and you will force it on the other two spectators. So spectator number 1 is the only one who will genuinely have a free choice of a card. But once they select a card, I like to hold a double like this. Whatever card they touch, I like to line up the card above it like so, right before I turn it over to show the 5 of diamonds. And once I show them the card, I'll place the double back on top, and I will thumb off the top card and leave it face down in front of them and tell them to remember that card. But I don't tell them to hold on to it or anything, because if they hold on to it, there's a very high chance that they'll look at it again to remember what it is. So I just tell them to look at it, remember it, and then place it down on the table. So now what I do is I'm going to cull the card once more. So I'm going to cull it underneath, just like so. And I'm going to spread for the second spectator to touch any card. They're going to touch this one here. And once they touch this card, I'm now going to actually push that card over just like this, so it will be lined up with the card that they touched. But I'm going to do that right before I raise my hand up. So now they're going to be able to see the same card, which is the 5 of diamonds. And then I'm going to take, once again, the double, place both of them down and place the top card down on the table. And this will be, once again, a random card. So now I'm going to, for a third time, going to cull the 5 of diamonds underneath, and I'm going to spread until the third spectator selects a card. Let's say they touch this one. I'm going to break the spread off. I'm going to push over that 5 of diamonds so it gets lined up underneath like so. And I'm going to do that right before I show them the card like this. So now they see 5 of diamonds. And then once again, I'm going to take the double, just place the two cards together and place the top card down. And then I'm going to continue culling this card actually again underneath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cull it and then insert it so it's actually the second to last card in the pack, just like this. So I'm not going to leave it on the bottom. I'm going to lift up the bottom card and leave it so it's actually the second to last card. And I'm going to do that as I spread through the cards. And at full speed, sorry, I'll do that again, but with the cards face down, it would look something like this. So it wouldn't look like anything. I'm just sort of squaring up the cards. But what I've done is I've placed the card second from the bottom. So now you're going to spread the cards out and have every single spectator lose their card in the pack. And actually, you don't have to have them do it, because if they do it, there's a chance they might flip it over. So you can actually take the cards back yourself and place the cards in the middle. That way, there's no risk of them seeing it. But now, once you square up the cards, you are going to shuffle the cards as much as you'd like. And if you do want to have the spectator shuffle the cards, you can very easily just sort of palm away the bottom two cards by copying them and then handing the deck over to the spectator. But if you don't want to do that, you are simply going to shuffle the cards, maintain the bottom two cards, and then you're going to shuffle them to the top. So you're going to shuffle, do an overhand shuffle, but then when you get to the bottom, you're going to start doing one by one like this. And once you do one by one, the card will be controlled not to the top, but second from the top. And that's where the card will end up, okay? So once the card is second from the top, you're ready to go to the sort of finding the card procedure. And the finding the cards procedure is very fun, and this is completely up to you, actually, how you perform this. I'll just show you what I like to do, but you're gonna try to find the 3 cards in very unique ways. The only thing you have to do is you have to pull out their card for spectator number 3. But the first 2 cards that you pull out are going to be completely random cards that are not the spectator selection. So however way you'd like to produce those cards is completely your choice. Just make sure that whatever production you choose for spectator number 3, you will actually produce the 5 of diamonds or whatever card that they actually selected, because you need that card to be the last one. So the way I like to do this is spectator number 1, I'm going to cut the cards and leave a break. So I'm going to just maintain a break on that card. And I'm just going to deal through, 15 or so cards. And then whenever I feel like I might be getting close to their card, I'm going to just take a random card. It doesn't matter which one you take. It can be any card. Let's say this one. I'm going to say, okay, I think this is your card. You're going to set it down right here in front of the first spectator. And I still have a break here. So I'm just going to drop the rest of the cards from the break until I get to the break right here. So now I have the original top half of the deck. And now I can just sort of split these and maintain the top half on top. So I still have the top cards here. Now the reason I actually leave the cards second from the top is for this production right here, because there's a very cool production that involves you cutting the cards, and it looks like you're cutting to a random card in the middle, but in reality you're actually slipping off the top card of the deck. And I feel like if you're performing this for magicians, they would most likely be able to pick up on that. So I actually like to throw in this little subtlety by getting ready to cut for it. But then what I'm going to do is just very ever so slightly pick up the top card and flash it and then drop it back down. That's all you have to do. And all this does is it just proves that nobody's card is on top of the deck, or at least spectator number 2's card isn't on top of the deck. And this isn't just for magicians, this is also for spectators as well, because a lot of people, might suspect that you're controlling the cards or something, but the fact that you just very casually flash this top card and then place it back sort of subconsciously confirms that their card is not on the top. But you don't have to say anything, you just sort of show it and then sort of very casually put it down, and it will sort of signal to the spectator that I am not in control of your card. And then the best part is, once you do this little thing here, you're just going to cut to a random spot in the middle and take a random card out and pretend like it's their card. But the only thing you have to do is be super confident, and you have to act like you know that this is their card, even though this is just a genuinely random card. The fact that I think you flash this top card and then very fairly cut to a card in the middle is really going to throw some people off, especially magicians, because if they don't really know what the end of the trick is, they're going to think that this is like a crazy trick already. Because the fact that you showed this and then did that, that's like, whoa, that's pretty impressive for a magician to see. And now what you're going to do is you're going to actually get rid of this top card. And I like to do that by doing a riffle shuffle. I'm just going to very casually cut the deck, but before I cut it, I'm going to use my index finger to slip the top card here, and then I'm going to shuffle and maintain the top card of the right hand packet, and this is going to be their selection. So now I have the top card here. And I'm going to keep shuffling, and then I'm just going to do a very simple bonsai spin out production, which is essentially this. You're going to cut half the deck with your left hand, and then your right index finger is going to maintain contact with the top card as you sort of separate your hands. But if you maintain contact with the top card, that card will appear to shoot out of the center of the pack, but in reality, you are just taking the top card here and shooting it out like this. But at full speed, it really does look very convincing that the card from the middle is being shot out. And then you could even leave this image here for just a second and say, yeah, I think this is your card here. And now you can square up the cards. And here's a very cool little subtlety that I'd like to do as well. I square up the cards, set them aside, and then I'm going to lay out the cards like this. So I have spectator number 1's card closest to me, spectator number 2's card in the middle, and then spectator number 3's card will be the furthest away from me on the table, distance-wise. And this is because the move that you're about to do is essentially lapping the cards. Now, this is going to be a little tricky for me to show on this camera angle, but I'll try my best here. So you have to pretend like my hand is at the edge of the table, but of course that would be off camera, so I'll have to keep it here in this case. But essentially, you're going to be reaching over, grabbing spectator number 1's card, which is closest to you, placing that in your hand, spectator number 2's card, dragging that down, placing it closest to you, and then you're going to reach over here. You're going to reach over because spectator number 3's card is so far away, and as you're reaching over, you're essentially going to take your hand, which is at the edge of the table with these two cards, and you're simply going to tilt it back and let them fall into your lap. And ideally, you would be sitting at a table for this. You can almost stand up a little bit if you're sitting at a table. You can kind of stand up and reach over because it's going to be so far away that the spectator will not notice you just simply tilting your hand back and dropping these cards into your lap. And then it even works better if your arm is directly hovering over your hand. You can see the length of my sleeve here is directly in the line of sight of my palm here. So it's completely covering those cards. And now I'm going to essentially slide this hand back, and then immediately the card will go into my hand, but it won't look like anything because my sleeve will be essentially covering the entire time, and it will just look like I'm placing the final card on top of the last two. And then I'm just going to very casually come back here, and now I have the 3 cards in my hand, and I'm now going to ask each spectator to name their card out loud. And this is the funny part of the trick where everyone will be very confused and not sure what to do because they all picked the same card, and you can also act confused as well. You can almost act like the trick sort of went wrong. And then you say, wait, okay, I think I know how to fix this. And then you're going to wave your hand over. And all I do is simply relax, kind of stretch my fingers. And that just sort of almost visually looks like the cards are sort of vanishing into one. And then you very carefully pick up the card at the corner. And this will show that we just have one single card. I like to give it a flick just to further prove it's one card. And then I say, hopefully I was still able to find all 3 of your cards, even though it was the same card. And that is the end of the trick right there. So as you can see, it's a very simple principle, but there's a lot of leeway in the way that you present and perform this trick. I think there's a lot of creative freedom that you guys can explore with this effect, and I'm very curious to see what you guys come up with, and if you guys have any suggestions or any other ideas, I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Definitely have fun playing around with this idea. I think it's a very fun trick. It gets great reactions, but yeah, that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Bye.